Howdy everyone, and if I get my editing done on time, Merry Christmas. I'm gonna look like a fool if it's not Christmas when I upload this, aren't I? That's, yeah, I'm gonna have to rush through this one. Yeah, so it is December, and that means it is time to do my annual Baby Metal retrospective kind of video, looking back at the past year, at how my own opinions on the band have changed, and just have some fun with it. Now, before we hop into this, I do have a rather long rant I need to go on, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get that out of the way. I am filming this video on December 22nd, so, you know, late in the year where it's almost over. We have 3 days until Christmas, if my math is right. It's, you know, the year's almost over. This video is meant to come out on December 7th. So, what went wrong during the filming process of this? Well, as December approached in the last few days of November, I thought to myself, that annual video I do is coming up. I should get to work on preparation for that. Well, December rolls around, and a whole lot of stuff happens, and despite the fact that we go and get Christmas decorations and get those set up, and I start preparing for getting Christmas gifts, and then there are finals and school and everything, I somehow don't fully comprehend that it's December until the 11th. So the day has already come and passed, and I'm thinking, oh no, I messed up. So I go and I do all the actual prep work. I listen back through Baby Metal's main discography, ignoring the live albums. I organize all my thoughts for this, and I go on the 15th, I believe it was, to go and film this video. And, you know, that first time around, the video was actually pretty good. There were a few interesting moments that were very much some unscripted moments that I am very sad will not be included in this video. At least one of them will actually be edited back in later, because there's no beating that pure unscripted moment there. That will make its way back in, but a lot of them sadly won't, because there's no way to bring them back in. You know, I finished the video, and I'm actually really proud of it. I'm like, okay, I did something good here. It may not be, you know, the highest quality, but it's some good stuff. I had some good stuff to say. I'm looking forward to editing this. I'm looking forward to getting this one out. A few days late, sure, but hey, I got it done. Well, enter the microphone I'm using. This is a Power2Wise lapel mic, a lavalier mic, and every audio test I've done of it has been good, and every review of it I've seen has been good. I filmed a Nemophila unboxing last month that came out just the other day using this microphone, and the audio was rough in it, but I think the issue was I was speaking way too loudly, way too energetically, and there's just too much too much interference with just the sound of unboxing it, you know? So I spent some time learning how to audio edit. It wasn't very helpful for that, but I've learned some good skills, and I think I've realized that I just need to speak a bit more calmly and really a bit more naturally with it, instead of the whole super energetic YouTube persona, you know? A bit more calm. A bit more like I naturally would, like I am right now. It's not perfect, but hey, it works, and that's about the best you can ask for with this kind of thing. So, that I think is fine, and for ease for making the video, I plug it directly into the camera, and I plugged it into the camera to film a video once before for one of my classes, and the audio was horrible. But here's the thing, I was filming that video in the middle of a rainstorm. So, you know, I thought it was just, again, really bad audio interference. It was not really bad audio interference. I don't think I can put this into words. I really do not. So I'm just going to let y'all, for a brief second, experience what I heard when I sat down to edit this video the first time. Oh, folks, I'm a bit of an idiot. That's not good. And, like, that is something where there's no fixing that, at least not with my skill level. So I would not want to watch a video like that. I'm sure y'all would not want to watch a video like that, and I would not want to edit a video like that. that is, for all intents and purposes, unsalvageable audio. So I realize, oh no, I gotta do this again. So I had to put the shirt in the wash, wait for it to come out, had to wait for a day where I actually have some free time, which has finally rolled around, and here we are redoing this Baby Metal Faniversary retrospective, whatever this thing is. Third year in a row. It's gonna be a fun time. Hopefully I don't have to film this anymore. Yeah, let's hop into it. I'm excited to actually make this one. So, why don't we start off with perhaps the easiest thing in all of this, just a quick look at my very mediocre, my very modest Baby Metal merch collection. Right off the bat, we of course have this drip. Here's the back of it. I don't know how much my hair is covering up. It's from the live stream they did of, was it Wembley? I'll have to check. I'm sure it says on the back, but it's from one of the live streams they did back in like 2020, and I actually sadly missed that live stream because I think I was sick when it happened and I just wasn't able to really watch anything. So yeah, that's a shame. I don't normally condone piracy, but I might have to go back and watch a questionably obtained version of that, shall we say, to experience what I missed. But you know, it was some drip. I had to get some, so I'm very glad to have this, and it has held up remarkably well for how often I wear this thing. A very, very high quality shirt. I do have another two, like, fan pieces of merch, but neither of them are particularly high quality, and one of them, all the printing has pretty much fallen off at this point, so I'm not going to show them off. But I do have some, you know, music stuff from Baby Metal. So we'll start off with the CDs. I have the first one I got for the collection, the classic self-titled album. This is the international version, as are all the things I have. Eventually I plan on getting the Japanese versions of their sophomore and their third album was Metal Resistance, Metal Galaxy. I don't know why I didn't just say that the first time. But international version of Baby Metal, which is the one time I would say the international version is better, as this one has Road of Resistance and the live performance of Gimme Chocolate on it. So, you know, bonus stuff. Yeah, great album right here. Great starter one for the collection. If you're starting out collecting some Baby Metal stuff, could not recommend this one highly enough. It is a great introduction to them. Then we have the second CD I got, 10 Baby Metal Budokan. All of these are actually found at my local music store, with the exception of one thing that I will show off. So, quite the good music store in my town. Would not expect them to carry Baby Metal, but they do. But yeah, 10 Baby Metal Budokan, fantastic album. Actually a double CD, which I can only think of one other album in my collection that is like that. Or might be two. I'm actually going to check that, because there's one that I can't remember. Yeah, Of Truth and Sacrifice by Heaven Shall Burn is also a double CD. I knew Iron Maiden's Book of Souls was. I was not sure on that one. So now we know there are three. That's not three. There are 3 double CDs in the collection. There's probably more. I'm not going to go into that anymore. But yeah, 10 Baby Metal Budokan, fantastic live album. Should not have leaned forward during that shot, but too late to change it now. Fantastic live album. One of my favorites. And then we have my personal favorite Baby Metal album, Metal Galaxy, which I will talk more about that in a bit. But this is just a fantastic album. Fantastic album. And then there are 2 more pieces of sort of music-related stuff from Baby Metal. The first is, you know, I'm sure this is a bit of a classic for all of y'all. Baby Metal Live at Budokan, Red Knight and Black Knight. This is, I believe, a German printing with the FSK AB0 Freigegeben. That's definitely German. A fantastic, fantastic live performance. I don't know what the market for this one is now, but this should still be fairly cheap. I'll edit in some pricing of, like, whatever it is. I'm just wherever I can find it most easily. So if you're looking for a good starter Baby Metal Blu-ray, again, could not recommend this highly enough. There are a lot out there I really want, and they're just so expensive that I cannot justify them right now. Because, like, it's just a Blu-ray. Like, going off on a tangent, there's the new, like, limited edition Nemophila album that hopefully is still for sale. That's a little over $100, and has the album, a Blu-ray of one of their performances, and then a bunch of store bonuses as well if you buy it directly from their merch site. That's a solid deal right there. Pricey, but a solid deal. Paying, I think it's like $80 last I saw for a new version of Tokyo Dome. It's probably gone up since then. Again, I'll edit some pricing on screen. That's too much for just a Blu-ray. Really high quality one. I saw the live stream seated of that show a while back. But that's just too much money for me. This, I think it was about $18, I want to say, when I got it. Again, I don't know what it is now, but it should still be fairly affordable. I hope. So great starter to a BABYMETAL Blu-ray collection. And fantastic show. I need to rewatch it to decide which one is my favorite. It's nice to have Kimeto Anime, Gametai, and there's one other one exclusive on Black Knight. I'm not seeing which one it is. You know, it's great to have those. But I almost want to say Red Knight is the better performance. I go back and forth on it, but great show to finalize my point. So yeah, fantastic piece to have in the collection. And the final one I was not expecting to get. We actually have a vinyl of Ten BABYMETAL Budokan as well. I think it was in last year's video. I'll try to edit in a clip if I can. I was saying how I wasn't sure I was going to get the CD. I'd probably pick it up on vinyl though. And then I actually went and listened to it all the way through, and it's like, oh, this is actually really good. Got the CD, and then a few days later, they had the vinyl in there, and I was like, man, I'm not really going to get to listen to the CD all that much. Let me pick this up, and this is one of 2 albums I've done that for. I've also got a vinyl of Starset's recent album. That was mostly just because it was actually pretty cheap at Walmart. I was like, oh yeah, I'd love to have that. Not something I'll do very often, but this I was like, you know, it's my favorite band. I might as well treat myself. Yeah, compared to some BABYMETAL collections I've seen from people, this is very modest. You know, I'm not someone who can buy every single variation of an album, every single piece of like the one exclusive merch, every single piece of, you know, whatever fan nonsense folks make. I can't do that. Like, I collect albums, I collect antique militaria, and I collect Lego sets. I don't have money, right? I cannot do that. So this is a very small collection, but I'm very glad to have all of these items. I do plan on getting more. I am, like I said, eventually going to try to track down the Japanese editions of both Metal Resistance and Metal Galaxy, which are one of the few times I'll be getting albums almost more for the collecting purpose than for just to have the album because I really like it. I do want those so I can have easy access to the Japanese exclusive tracks. But it's not, you know, I don't need them, right? I mean, I don't need any album. Like, Metal Galaxy, the international version, is all I really need, but I really want that Japanese edition. It's the same thing with some of this other stuff. So, yeah, small collection, plans for it with the future, though, so there will be, you know, some more updates for this next year, I'm sure. But that should be the merch rant done. So, let's talk about what has happened this year with BABYMETAL. There's a lot to dive into with that. Last year was not a great year to be a BABYMETAL fan. If I remember correctly, they were sealed the entire year. There was not much happening at all. It was not a good year to be a fan. So then this year rolls around, and I'm expecting, you know, much of the same. BABYMETAL's just going to stay sealed. Maybe the occasional update with the other one, whatever that nonsense was. But I was just thinking, it's just going to be a boring year for BABYMETAL. I'll focus on some other bands I'm into, Sleep Token or Bad Omens or whatever. And then the restoration starts speeding up. And then October rolls around, and it's 90% restored, 91% restored, 92, 93, 94, going up and up and up until we get to 99% restored. And then we wait, and then there's some announcements. New music coming full new album coming. All of those little snippets they've been teasing are indeed upcoming songs and not just like unreleased demo things or whatever. You know, it's actual new stuff coming. There's a performance coming, big live performance in Japan, and then all of a sudden, Sabaton announces a European tour with BABYMETAL. Why is it not in the States? I really want to see them live. It has been a good year to be a BABYMETAL fan as we reached the end. I mean, it's actually been a really good year just to be a music fan in general. There's been so many good releases this year. But for a BABYMETAL fan, this is an exciting year, at least this latter half. Latter third? Where does October lay in the latter quarter? I don't actually know how the year is set up. I don't think I'm going to be able to figure that out. It's been exciting. We'll leave it at that. But there's been so much happening. So, new performances. Let me talk about those real quick. New show in Japan, gonna be great. Hopefully they'll make like a Blu-ray of that. Maybe I'll get a copy. Probably won't because it's expensive. But maybe I will. That would be pretty nice. I'm super happy for all the folks who are going to get to see them there and like their first show back after however long it's been. Tour with Sabaton. That is a killer tour. It's them, Sabaton, BABYMETAL, and Lordi, was it? I don't listen to the third band, so I wasn't paying too much attention to them, but killer lineup. And of course, it's happening in Europe where I can't see it. I'm super happy for all the European folks who are going to get to see this tour. But man, that would be so good to go and see, especially since I wasn't able to see Sabaton on their last US tour. It was this year, wasn't it? Oh, it's been a long year. I mean, I got to see a couple good concerts this year. Got to see Steven Sanchez, and then I got to see Demon Hunter a couple months ago. A great year for seeing some shows for me. It was only 2, but they were both fantastic. But man, I do regret missing the Sabaton show. That would have been good fun. But that's a rant for another day, I'm sure. It's exciting with the shows coming up and everything. Hopefully there'll be a BABYMETAL appearance in the States next year, 2024, more likely. But I'll wait patiently for something. I'll wait impatiently for something. But yeah, very, very exciting with that. And then the new music. We've had 2 new tracks so far this year. I'm pretty sure those are the only ones we're getting, and they've been very good. Divine Attack was phenomenal. I'll link my reaction to that and my reaction to Monochrome in the description so you can check those out if you haven't seen them yet. But Divine Attack was phenomenal. That was honestly about what I would have expected from BABYMETAL. Some a slight fantasy edge to the lyrics, some good metal, good sort of poppy elements thrown in. Not as heavy as some of their stuff, but a little hint of it, which made me happy. I love a good blend of styles. There's a lot of stuff to love about that track, and I was made very happy with it. So that one, fantastic. And then Monochrome dropped, and that is legitimately my favorite BABYMETAL track. Now, I am heavily biased, of course. I am a major history buff, and there are some pretty clear ties, if you look into them, to the atomic bombing of Hiroshima, which, as I've researched that more and more, is a fascinating part of history. I've been doing a lot of reading into it, even after doing that Monochrome reaction where I talked about that. I've been reading recently a book called Fallout. I don't know who the author is. I'll edit it on screen. But it's about Hershey's investigation into it, and it's a fascinating story, and it's just like that is probably one of the most horrifying acts of war of all time. And I've learned so much about it that I did not realize, and it's opened my eyes to it, And to have that come from BABYMETAL, the silly chocolate band. Absolutely insane. Cannot believe that has happened. So, yes, I am biased being a major history buff, but that is such a phenomenal song. I do wish it had a little more emotional impact with the music, But as I've looked into the lyrics more and more, and as I've thought about it more and more, that is such a strong track, and easily #1 song. It is battling with Shine, which is another fantastic one, and another one I'll talk about in a bit. But man, it's just such a good song. So if you haven't seen my reaction to that one yet, high recommendation for a watch. Probably the most effort I've put into a reaction yet. At least in the preparation, I do think my delivery struggled a little bit. Mostly just because I'm still not all that comfortable with presenting to a camera, even though I've been doing this for like 2 years now. Which is interesting. But, yeah, that, oh, fantastic track. So, yes, very exciting year for a BABYMETAL fan. Now, the other thing I'll always do in these videos, at least I think I always do, I don't remember what I did in the first one, I kind of remember the second one. The other thing I wanted to do in this video is give brief album reviews. This is not going to be like a super in-depth thing. This is going to be a little longer than the stuff I'd post on Instagram, but not the same as, you know, the full-length reviews I'd put up on this channel. It's just going to be my quick thoughts. So we'll start off with Self-Titled with their album BABYMETAL, which is just a fantastic album. I've been too harsh on that in the past. This past year, as, you know, the tracks came up in my mix and everything, I was pretty quick to skip them in favor of some other things I was more in the mood for, and I was like, it's a solid album, but it's not great. It's not the same as their other stuff. And then I went back and listened to this, and like, it's still, I would say, their weakest album. But that is such a strong album as well, and you know, like, I mean, it is the album that brought us BABYMETAL, so I can't hate it, even when it's like, it's not that great. But as I listened again, just the joy I had while listening to that for the first time, it came back, and that was such just a miracle. There are some tracks on here that don't do too much for me still. BABYMETAL Death, for example, I think doesn't really work all that well on its own. I think it's really good live on its own. It's catch me if you can, for whatever reason. I can't get into the studio version. Love the live performances, but this studio version is just, it doesn't hit right. And that's the only song where it's like, it actually feels like legitimately worse without the choreography. A lot of them are improved by the choreography, but that is the only one where I think the lack of it actually makes the song worse. I couldn't put it into words, but that one on the album struggles a bit. And then Doki Doki Morning and Ine also are just not, I like both those tracks. Actually, I love both those tracks, but they're just, there's something off with them. Ine is a bit too chaotic for me. I think the different sections just don't flow into each other all that well, and instead of, you know, kind of shifting around like this, it's shifting around like this. So, a bit rough. But the album as a whole is just, it's so much fun. It is so much fun. And as I listened to it again, like I said, all that joy from the first listen came back. There is so much to love about this one, and I need to give this one a much more of a second chance, because, like I said, I've been way too harsh on it in the past, and it's such a fun album. Easily 8 out of 10. Some days it's a 9 out of 10. It's so much fun. Metal Resistance, sadly don't have a physical copy to hold for this, so I don't have any albums with like similar color schemes, I think. So just pretend I'm holding a copy of it. If I could be bothered, I'd edit in just a really low quality picture of it, but that's too much work. But that's a super fun album as well. It's an interesting one. I would put it slightly above Self-Titled, but as I think about it more and more, I'm changing on that opinion. Like, it's a weird album. I would say it has their strongest tracks, but as an album, it's not quite there. I enjoy it, but it's probably the album I'm least likely to seek out. It has the tracks I'm most likely to seek out. But the album itself is just, it's lacking something. I don't know what it is, but the album is just, it's not quite there. It's still one, I'd probably put it like an 8, 9 out of 10, but it's not quite there, and I can't think of why. I do love all the tracks on it. A couple of them, again, Follow Flat, Metataro, and Awadama Fever, for example. But there's not a bad track on it. There's not tracks like on Self-Titled. It's like, you know, it's missing something. There's somewhere it's just like, I don't like these as much. The album has so many strong tracks, but there's something with it. I'll have to give it a lot more listens to really be able to figure out what, but it's missing something, and I don't know what, unfortunately. So I can't put it at my favorite, and it's slowly falling behind Self-Titled. But it is a great album, and one I do need to get for the collection. Now, Metal Galaxy is sort of the reverse of Metal Resistance in a sense. I would say the tracks are a little weaker on it, right? There's a few that I absolutely love. Shanty Shanty Shanty, and Shine, for example, are two of my favorite Baby Metal songs. And then there's others that I can't help but love, like Oh Imagine I, which is the one that got me into Baby Metal, so I am heavily biased with it. The individual tracks are, they're alright, but the album as a whole, oh, it's phenomenal. One of my top 10 albums of all time, I would say. There's something about it that, it's very similar to sort of how I feel on Sleep Token's albums. Sundowning, I would say, has the stronger tracks. There is not a, bad track, although there's not a bad track on either of those albums. That one, all the individual tracks are phenomenal, and the album is a great one. But there's something about the way that all the tracks on This Place Will Become Your Tomb come together that even though the individual tracks may not excite me as much, something about the album as a whole, the way it comes together and sort of the narrative with it is just perfect. And maybe there's something to do with, you know, perhaps the picture of sort of depression that you see with it is something I'm able to relate to a bit more easily than what we see on Sundowning, so that has an impact. Maybe it's just because the first one I heard from them, you know, something along those lines, but there is something about that album that the way it comes together is so much stronger, and this is the same way. The tracks on this one may not be as exciting outside of a few specific examples, but the album as a whole is phenomenal, especially that last set, Starlight, Shine, and Arcadia. And that's an interesting combo, because Starlight is sort of a metalcore track. It's actually really good, but it's not quite on the level of some of Baby Metal's other songs. Then you have Shine, which for a long time was my favorite. And then you have Arcadia, which is just a good power metal track. There's not too much to say on that one. It's not super exciting, but it's like, yeah, that's a good power metal. But the way they come together, the way they shift together, the way they fit together as sort of this three-part story, in a sense, is just absolutely beautiful. So, Metal Galaxy, perhaps a controversial opinion, but this is a 10 out of 10 album. Easily my favorite album from Baby Metal. I will have to wait and listen to the other one to see how that holds up, to see how that shifts around the ranking. But this, as of right now, #1 Baby Metal album, 10 out of 10. Now, before I move on, there is something I meant to talk about in relation to Baby Metal, their self-titled album, that I meant to say during the merch section, and then I meant to say during that review and forgot both times, and I really want to share this with y'all because it is probably the wildest thing I've ever seen in relation to Baby Metal, which is saying something. I was in the first video talking about how, you know, it'd be nice to have some vinyls of all the Baby Metal albums, and I said, I wonder if there's a vinyl of Self-Titled, because I hadn't seen one, so I did some quick Googling, and I'm just gonna let y'all see my reaction to that. So, apologies for the bad audio, but this is something that y'all need to witness, this original moment. You know what, on Amazon right now? Oh dear, is that showing up for that's a bit pricey. So yeah, that's a little crazy, isn't it? You know, like what was it, 850, 870, something along those lines for a vinyl record. Like, yeah, I get there's like collector's editions and stuff, but what? And that is something that actually broke me. Like, I could not continue the video for probably a solid 5 minutes at least. I had to just start talking about random stuff in the room to distract myself from that. But here's the crazy part. I checked back later that night, and, it's the dog! The dog's in here! Oh, do you want to go outside? Well, I was gonna show my dog, but he's gone now. You're rude. I wanted to show the YouTube people you. Yeah, you should look guilty. What was I saying? Yeah, it gets crazier because I checked back later that night, and it's still like this. Last I checked earlier today. And, this is something that I actually don't know what would have happened if I saw this in that first video. Because, like I showed you in that clip, it was like 800 something or other. It is now... Is that focusing? I'm not sure how well that's showing up. It is now $1,551.99. Now, it's, I'd say, a fairly realistic assumption that this is just a scam, but who's out here paying $1,500 for a vinyl? I mean, no one is, but who's out here thinking that someone will pay $1,500 for a vinyl? And, like, if you're a baby metal collector and you would pay that much for something from them, please tell me why. That is too much money. I say this, I've spent thousands of dollars on experimental World War I equipment, but why would you spend that much money on a vinyl record? I really shouldn't speak, given how much I've sunk into some military items, but that's just too much. I think I'm approaching being broken again, so I'm going to move on. I had to share that with y'all. That is one of those instances where it doesn't have too much to do with the video itself. I can't suffer alone with this. I need someone else to have experienced it. So, it's too much. It is too much. Now, what is the next thing I want to talk about? I suppose I'll talk about what I see with baby metal going forth. Obviously, we have the upcoming album, which I'm super excited about. There's, I think, 2 more singles off of that. I'll have to see what happens with them, but that is super exciting. And then we have the album itself, and then the shows and everything. It's super exciting. I cannot wait for the album. I have some really high expectations for it. I don't know what to expect from it, but I have really high expectations for quality, which in many instances is a bit dangerous, right? But baby metal are, I think, one of those few bands where you can very confidently say that you're going to be happy with what they put out, that they're going to put out something that is high quality. There's very few very few bands that I can 100% say that with. I can say that with baby metal. So the album is, I'm already calling it going to be fantastic. I'm not sure what to expect with sound. I think it's going to be a little more uniform than what we've seen from them in the past, just going off of the 2 singles that have been released and the other snippets I've heard. I think there's going to be some variety, of course, but I don't think it's going to be as varied as their previous 3 albums. But I do think it's going to be an interesting one. I'm very interested to see what it actually ends up being. And the shows, of course, super exciting. Cannot wait to hear what they're like. I'm going to be keeping an eye on the reports from folks on that. That's super exciting. And hopefully we'll get a US tour in 2024, maybe. That would be... Oh, that would be a dream come true if I could go see them. Yeah, that's not a thing I could put into words. That would just be amazing. But there's not a lot of like, oh yeah, I think we're going to see this going forward. I think we're going to see this going forward right now. But there is some stuff. I'll get into a bit of speculation here. I've seen some folks say that this might be BABYMETAL's last album, that this is sort of their final release, going out with a bang, that kind of thing. Admittedly, I haven't been following this stuff too closely, but I don't think we have any evidence of that. If there is, put it down to the comments so I can be made aware of it, for sure. But I think that's just more of the people being like, oh no, BABYMETAL's ending. I mean, we saw that when Yui left, if I remember correctly. I wasn't around for that, but I feel like I remember seeing some stuff where it's folks like, oh yeah, Yui's left, the band's over now. I know we saw a lot of that when they got sealed. The people were like, oh no, this is the last thing they're doing, they're going away. No, they said they were going to come back, so this... I just don't think there's any evidence with this for it being their final album. Again, I haven't been following it too closely, so maybe there's something I've missed, but I don't think we have any reason to worry yet. They're going to end eventually, but I don't think this is it. And then the other thing is, are they bringing in, you know, a third member, a third permanent member? Are they going to stick with just the sort of Avenger system or whatever it is they're doing now? You know, what's going to happen with that? And I would love to see BABYMETAL bring in a permanent third member. If they're not going to bring Yui back, which, let's face it, that's not happening. I would love to see that happen as much as the rest of you. It is not going to happen. If they bring in a third permanent member, you know, I'd love to see that happen. I'm trying to think if there's anyone that would like, yeah, it would be really good there. And I can't think of anyone. I don't follow a lot of groups close enough to be like, yeah, this would be a really good fit for them. I don't see that happening. It'd be interesting to perhaps bring in, you know, another person who is in Sakura Gakuin at roughly the same time as them for BABYMETAL. That would actually be really nice to see. But I don't think that is going to happen with BABYMETAL. I think they are, from what I remember reading, I think what's going to happen is it's going to be just sort of, I almost feel like I saw something where maybe it was an interview, maybe it was someone's speculation, where someone was saying that they're probably going to continue forth as just two members. I think it's a bit more likely, just for the choreography and everything, to have it be Sue and Moa moving to be maybe a little more equal with what they do. Probably still Sue on lead vocals, Moa mainly focusing on the dance and backing vocals. And then just a third member on stage just doing some dancing. I think that is the most likely outcome here. I'd certainly love to be pleasantly surprised with a third member, be it the return of Yui or a new member who is a good fit. But again, I don't think there's any real likelihood that that is going to happen, as much as I'm sure we all want something to happen in that regard. Again, it would be great to see Yui return. I am going to go ahead and say that that is not happening. And I will gladly accept my fate if I am wrong on that. I really want to be wrong on that. But I'm going to go ahead and put it out there that that's not happening. A different permanent third member, again, would be nice to see. I really want to see a permanent third member. I think BABYMETAL really works well like that. It would be nice to perhaps have a return of Black BABYMETAL or something along those lines. But again, I do not think that is going to happen. I don't know which is going to happen, but I think BABYMETAL are going to go forth as either Sue and Moa with a third dancer, or just Sue and Moa. I'd say the former is a little more likely, but I could see it going either way. But I think that's my speculation done. So I guess now it's the time for the final to think some stuff I'd like to see from the future in BABYMETAL. And the first thing is very much a personal bias. I would love to see more history content. Monochrome gave me a hint of something amazing, and I want to see more of it. There was an interesting theory I read a while back that Gimme Chocolate has tie-ins to the post-war occupation of Japan. Actually, a very interesting theory. If I can find the Reddit thread for that, I'll link it, because it's actually well worth a read. It's always nice to see people's interpretations of songs, and I would say there's some evidence of that. But that's something where I think that's more just, you know, an interesting tie someone was able to make, instead of what we're seeing with Monochrome, where there's no explicit references, but as you look into this, it really becomes clear that if this isn't exactly what it's about. It's definitely heavily tied to it. And so I'd love to see more history content from BABYMETAL. I don't think it's going to happen, but man, it would be so nice. That would just be amazing. Beyond that, what we're seeing with the other one is almost a more mature form of BABYMETAL. It's not like, oh, you think mature, oh, yeah, violence and sex and all that. No, we don't want any of that. It would be, just for the novelty of it, rather amusing to hear something like that from BABYMETAL. But I don't really want to hear that from BABYMETAL. It would be, if it happened, you know, it would be kind of silly. It'd be like, this is a weird timeline we're living in. But I'm not going to be like, oh, they should go and do that at all. I don't really want to hear that. I'm not talking that kind of thing, but the lyrics we're getting on the stuff from the other one is a lot more mature. In a sense, it's darker, but we're just seeing sort of deeper ideas, and we were getting some fairly strong ideas, some fairly strong lyrics in some of their other stuff. And Self-Titled, for example, has Ejimedame Zatai, a fantastic sort of anti-bullying track, a fairly somewhat mature topic. What's the one? The one off of Metal Resistance. Well, I wouldn't go quite so far as to call it like a mature track. I'd say has you know, a hint of what we're seeing here, that deeper idea. And then there's some good stuff on Metal Galaxy as well, that final trilogy, for example. But what we're seeing with the other one so far is it's a step beyond all of that. So I'm sure we're going to get more of that with the entirety of the other one, but I would love to see more of that in BABYMETAL's future in general. Just that stronger lyricism, those sort of deeper, more mature ideas, where it's not just, oh, yummy food, oh, wacky music. I don't know how to phrase that. Hopefully the idea is carried across. That kind of thing would be amazing to see. And then the final thing, while I doubt we're going to see this on the other one, I'd love to see some more collaborations. Some stuff that would be amazing to see is, I'm going to bring in some personal biases again with two artists or two bands or groups or what have you. The one of them, Sleep Token, really tied with BABYMETAL for my favorite. They've done some stuff together before. I think there was a show in London, was it, that they opened for BABYMETAL? That would be such a strong collaboration if it was, you know, Vessel coming in, perhaps adding in some piano and adding his vocals into a BABYMETAL track. That would be phenomenal, and I think could work really well. I'd love to hear that. And then really just personal bias, just because I think they're super cool. I'd love to hear a BABYMETAL and Accident collaboration. There's no real reason for that. I'm not like, oh, this would be such a good fit. I just think Accident is really cool, and I want more people to know about them, and I want to talk about them in this video, but I'm gonna shut myself up because this is not an Accident video. I just really want to see that collaboration happen, because that would make me so happy. But I think, beyond that, the thing I'd really want to see is expanding beyond some personal biases into something that I think would be really good for BABYMETAL, is some more collaborations with the Japanese artists. I'd love to see them with perhaps some other alt-idol groups, Necronominal being, well, one of my favorites. You know, a track featuring Hamari from Necronominal would be amazing. Or perhaps another one of my favorites, Wagamama Rakia. But just, I think, in general, more collaborations with some Japanese artists would be amazing. I'm trying to think of others that would be really interesting. I'd kind of like to hear BABYMETAL do something with Ningen Isu and bring in sort of that classic heavy metal, hard rock kind of style, you know, the almost Black Sabbath influences. That, you know what, actually, I would love to hear that. That needs to happen. BABYMETAL and Ningen Isu collab would be phenomenal. If there's someone who can make that happen, please do. I want to hear that almost more than the other ones I've talked about. But yeah, just BABYMETAL collaborating with some more Japanese artists would be amazing. They've collaborated with a lot of great international artists, and unless I'm misremembering, I don't think there's been any collaborations with Japanese artists. So I think, yeah, I think bringing in some more of that would be interesting. I don't have any grand reason. I really want to see that. It's something that they've not really done and I'd love to hear him collab with some other artists I absolutely love from Japan. Good crossover there, you know? That's, you know, perhaps not even as deep as the Accident Wars. I think they're super cool and would love to see that. I think that would be something that could actually be really good for BABYMETAL. Perhaps, from what I've heard, they're not as popular in Japan as they are internationally. I could be misremembering, but that would perhaps be a good way to bring them a bit more popularity. But, you know, that is, I think, it for speculation for what we're seeing going forth, what I'd love to see going forth. I don't really know what more to say in this video, so I am going to shut myself up here. Oh ho ho, slow down there, Past Luna. Hey guys, it's your boy Editing Luna, back again. Another video I'm invading. Of course, I wait for the AC to stop, and then of course, the second I start filming, it starts up again. That's great. Why am I here? Yeah, I totally forgot to do the whole section on how my opinion on BABYMETAL as a whole has changed, so I'm hopping back in to add that in. So, I'm gonna try to keep this fairly short, because this video is pretty long already. Basically, when I first discovered BABYMETAL, you know, it was like this magical kind of thing, you know? It's just so exciting, and that's gone now. And there's a few reasons for that. One is, you know, they're no longer new, you know? So, that magic that comes with any new discovery within music is gone, and there's no bringing that back. And then the other thing, again, something that you can't really bring it back because of this, is I've listened to so much stuff now that sort of the out there nature of BABYMETAL is gone, because I mean, I listen to so many artists that are perhaps even crazier than they are, so that element of them is gone as well, so that there's no longer that sort of magic that that I had when listening to BABYMETAL in really that first year. And in earlier this year, I would have said that BABYMETAL just aren't really doing it for me anymore. I'd still probably put them, you know, favorite band just because they mean so much to me, but like, it was like, I don't listen to them much anymore, it's not doing too much. But having listened back to the albums, having taken some time to really think about BABYMETAL and everything, I still get the same amount of joy that I did with their stuff that I did early on. It doesn't hit the same way, but it hits just as hard, if that makes any sense. So, I want to put them at my favorite band at the moment. I don't know who I would. Maybe Bad Omens, but I'm not listening to them as much anymore. Maybe in the Church vein, I've listened to a lot of their stuff lately. I don't know. I want to put them at my favorite at the moment, but I would still put them at my all-time favorite. So, yeah, I suppose to summarize, BABYMETAL, you know, the magic that there was is gone. And earlier this year, I would not have put them where I used to. But now, having listened back to their stuff, having thought about some more, still just as good. You know, still love their stuff just as much, just in a different way now. So, yeah, now this section is done, and I can finish the video and get it out for y'all, so enjoy. This was, rough to film. I did not want to have to do this a second time, but I think I was able to bring in some good stuff this second time. We lost, you know, a bit of that sort of unfiltered element of the first one, where it was, I did not know what I was doing at all, so we were getting a bit more chaos and perhaps a bit more fun. But I do think what we got here was solid. You know, I'll have to go back and do some editing and see how it comes out, but I do think I have some good points to make. I'll see y'all next year for the next version of this. Hopefully it'll actually come out on December 7th. I'll also see y'all for some more BABYMETAL content next year. I know there'll be at least 2 more BABYMETAL reactions. I'll probably react to every track off of the upcoming album. And then there's another old BABYMETAL live performance that's been requested for a reaction that I will get to as soon as I get through this backlog of new releases that I'm slowly making my way through. So, you know, subscribe if you want to see more BABYMETAL content in the future. It will be coming. I don't know exactly when, but it will be coming. Eventually, I'll do those BABYMETAL album reviews that I've been talking about for a while. I've got one album review I need to do beforehand. I'll probably get that done beginning of next year. And then I'll probably do maybe BABYMETAL as my review after that. Would be nice. But, yeah, I think that is going to do it for this video. So, thank you all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Share your own thoughts on BABYMETAL. How has your opinion on them changed over the years? You know, are they still your favorite band, or are they a band that you just kind of passively enjoy? You know, whatever. What are your thoughts on BABYMETAL? What are your thoughts on the future? You know, share your thoughts on that. If you have anything that you'd like me to elaborate on, let me know and I can try to answer you down in the comments. Links in the description to the Discord servers. You can join the community, Instagram and Twitter, all that fun stuff. Linktree for everything else I've done in case any of that interests y'all. And yeah, I don't think I have anything more to say. That is going to do it. So once again, thank you all for watching, and until next time, I'll be seeing you.